I think an EFL division's always at its best when you can get to the last quarter of the campaign and the playoff scramble still goes right down into the bottom half. And I think that's what we have with the Championship. Granted, it's looking like a much higher bar for the top six in terms of points totals, with the form that Wrexham are in and the points that Hull have already accumulated. It's looking like it could be a mid-70s points tally as opposed to last season when Bristol snuck in with 68. But having said that, there are teams outside the playoffs right now that either have put together a massive run or look capable of doing just that. Sheffield United sent out the message that they're still in the conversation after that 2-0 victory at QPR at the weekend. Birmingham City have the chance to do that as well with their home game against Middlesbrough tonight, a big component, of course, in this conversation. What about Southampton as well? Since Ben Garner joined up with the Saints on the 2nd of January, they've gone on a big winning run and only dropped points once, which means that they're closest to sixth place Wrexham and Hull, who are in fifth and could be ones to look a little bit vulnerable on performance and sustainability. And we're still talking about that at this stage of the season. We're still talking about sustainability, which is how it shows how confusing and bewildering Hull City are. Lots of factors to get into. We're going to try and find out who is going to finish in the playoffs in the Championship. So if you like what we do here at EFL Debate, you can do us a massive favour by getting subscribed to us on YouTube and on Spotify. And also, if you'd like to give the channel a little bit more support and get my exclusive weekly conversations with Simon Lillibury around broad-ranging Football League topics, you can do just that and subscribe to become a member for £3 a month. So delighted to be joined by my co-host for this evening, Mr. Ollie Mann from Sheffield United Way. Ollie, where do you think the playoff scramble in the Championship ends?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one, isn't it? I think that you probably can make a case that it goes down to United, but I think that's probably asking too much. Okay. I personally think, you said it in the start there, the higher bar this season, that's what's going to be really crucial here. If the bar was 70 points, I think Sheffield United will get 70 points. But I think the bar is going to be more like 73, 74, 75. And that just raises it a little bit.
If it's 75, Sheffield United need to either win 8 and draw 3, or they need to win 9.
Yeah. With 11 games left, that is asking way too much, I think, of any team. If you were saying to me, you've got to win 7, I think we can win 7 out of 11. If you say to me, we've got to win 9, that is an unbelievable run, bearing in mind we've still got to go away to Birmingham and Norwich. I can already see where the 9 don't come from. So, yeah, it's a really difficult one. I think the team, I would be saying that the most likely team in terms of drop is Birmingham. They sit in 11th. So I think Birmingham and upwards are probably where I'm looking. That maybe captures Preston, but it's the game in hand for Birmingham which really makes the difference, particularly if they manage to win it tonight.
I mean, that's the other thing I was going to ask, because I suppose the lines can get blurred, and because things can change very quickly in the Championship, you can make these you can draw these lines, and then results can change over a couple of games, and it throws everything at you. You can highlight it perfectly by doing that. Because if we lose tonight, which is perfectly possible against an excellent Middlesbrough side going for automatic promotion, we've only got 1 more point than Sheffield United. So it is a very interesting conversation, and I do think things can change very quickly.
It's the wild card, isn't it? This is the problem, it's the wild card. Because you don't know, you can't predict what the teams in the playoffs are going to do. And that's the one for me. We looked at the fixtures and, for anybody who is subscribing up for us in the next few days, in the next few weeks, if you get the opportunity, I'm sure at some point Gab might share some of the conversations we've had about Hull, because we had a hilarious one earlier this week where we were starting from a position of Hull, 100%, they're in the playoffs, don't worry about it. And within 15 minutes, we went, they'll probably be the ones who miss out, because that's how insane the Championship is.
But you know what, Ollie, if I can just, sorry to interrupt you there, but I remember Nottingham Forest and Sabri Lamucci in 1920, and they did have some really good individual performers that year. but that you wouldn't like Matty Cash and Joe Lolly, but they weren't necessarily playing amazingly well. And in the last couple of months of the season, at very similar time, they did drop off and ended up finishing outside the playoffs. And Hull only have 60 points at the moment. And while that's a great cushion, they've also got games in hand on most teams. I do wonder if Hull could be the ones that we sleep on, maybe, because if Hull only get another 10 points, that massively dictates, I suppose, the mathematics of this playoff equation.
It really does. You know, you look at just their next three fixtures: Ipswich away, Millwall at home, Wrexham away. I, for one, don't see loads of points in that run. And so that then begs the question, you know, if suddenly they do lose 3 on the spin, they're suddenly on the outside looking in, and that changes the dynamics so much. So I just love it. I love it, Gab. I love the playoffs. It's just fun, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we will be joined. We'll bring in Welsh Techie from the Racecourse Ramble. Thanks so much for joining us. But we will come back to you on Wrexham. We look forward to discussing your thoughts on Wrexham's chances, because we're on a tight schedule with Martin Sanders, who's an excellent YouTuber and podcaster on the Saints. Great to have you with us, Martin. Just wondering what you think the biggest factor is behind Southampton's form over the last couple of months.
A few things, really. It's been impressive. The turnaround's been really good. Credit goes to Tonda Eckert. Very, very young man, young manager. His first proper senior job, and he had a really, really rough patch over Christmas. It was really tough, and his job was probably on the line. We played Sheffield United at home, and then we had to go down to Fratton Park on the Sunday in a derby. I think if he'd gone down and lost the derby, I think he would have been his job would have been in big jeopardy. You spoke about the assistant managerial change. They brought in some help for Tonda. He needed experience, and Gardner come in, and he's massively helped him, because if you look at results since then, I think we lost one game since he came in, and that was the whole game at home, which was his first game. He'd been in for about a week, I think. So fair play. Since then, it's been a big change. And going to a back four, Gab, as well. He's brought James Bree back from Charlton, and he's been phenomenal. I cannot praise him highly enough. He's been like a brand new signing. Nathan Jones said that he didn't want to come back to Southampton. Well, he absolutely looks like he does. And he's come out and said it was one of the best things to happen to him to come back. He's in the side. He's scoring goals. He makes us more solid. The change of centre-back partnerships made a big difference to go with 2. Stevens and Harwood-Bellis at this level are very good. Ryan Manning at left-back or Wellington have both been solid. And then I just look at the business that was done in January. It was whilst it looked on paper, you let your top goal scorer go. We'll come on to it a bit more. I think there's a little bit more to it than the players coming in. I think it was actually the players going out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the big thing that stands out for me is that when you get Leo Scienza and Finn Azaz linking up, they can really make some magic, can't they?
Yeah, Leo's been brilliant. He's a magnificent player. At this level, he's good. I think he's destined for the top. And I had the pleasure I sat down with him just before Christmas and interviewed him, and he's such a humble young man. He's done everything he can to embed himself into the city, into the club, to learn about the club's history, to learn about his fan base. And he's become a cult hero. He's the first cult hero I've seen since Ricky Lambert. The way that he gives everything on the pitch. Sometimes he does too much. But the thing I love about him is that his work rate as well. He continues to work hard off the ball, and when he gets it, he's a real threat going forward. He's been brilliant. He's got more assists, I think, than pretty much anybody in the league. I need to go back and look at the stats, but he's right up there. His expected XG is huge, and the one thing is we've probably missed as a striker to score us loads of goals. But there's goals coming from all over the pitch. Leo chips in, and Fellows hasn't scored any goals yet. But, you know, I look elsewhere across the pitch. Harwood-Bellis is chipping in. James Bree, Ryan Manning. There's goals coming from all over. I think Azaz, as you touched on him, he's a moments player. He's not always amazing, but he's got vision that no one else has got.
Yeah. Absolutely. Ollie, from an outside perspective, what do you make of Southampton? And should we be hugely surprised that they've put together this kind of form in the second half of the season, given what some of those players are capable of?
Do you know what? It's a really interesting one because I think it's easy and maybe quite reductive to say, no, of course it's not a surprise. We all saw this coming. It's definitely going to happen. They've got some of the best players in the league with a really deep squad. It was coming good at some point. But I think that's unfair necessarily to the work that has been done by Thonder Eckert. And obviously, you know, Martin talked about there the impact of what happened in January with moving around some of those players. Because we, if we're being honest with ourselves, didn't see this coming. I didn't, certainly. When we played Southampton, you know, Martin referenced it there at the start of Southampton's good run. We played them at St Mary's and I wasn't overly impressed. I didn't sit there and think this is a team who's now going to go on a run, make the playoffs. They're going to be the team. And so to see the way they've turned it around is really impressive. But it's not the first time. Obviously, Eckert has done this twice now in terms of putting together really good, sustained runs of form. The question is, what's going to happen when it dips? You know, there's some really difficult games coming up. I think they've got Norwich and Ipswich both in the next couple of weeks. And so they're going to be a real test. But this feels different in terms of how this is coming. It's not just a case of a team hitting a hot streak, going on a good run, finding different ways to win. I really like the changes that I've seen in this team. That switch to a back four makes them so much more secure. I love those two fullbacks. I really do. I think they're amongst the sort of best in the league, and it brings so much more balance to a squad that I think for much of the season has been lacking balance. And so that's where I think the real difference has come. They've got rid of some egos. They've put together a team that is balanced and play for each other. And I like what I see from Southampton. And to be honest with you, when I talked earlier about, you know, looking at the points totals, what do we think we're going to have to get? One of the things I'm factoring into that is I think Southampton get a pretty good points total. And so in order to get into the playoffs, it's basically, if you finish above Southampton, I think you'll definitely be in the top six.
Interesting. Would you like to sort of expand, Martin, on those fullbacks that Ollie mentioned? I think Ryan Manning, we've seen what he can do at this level previously, haven't we, in 23-24?
Yeah, he's been good from set play. Scores his third free kick of the season at the weekend, and it was a good hit, and he continues to do it. He's brilliant at set play, and I think he's got better at set play. And for defenders to be chipping in like he has, Taylor Harwood-Bellis, I think he's scored 5 now. Ryan's on 6. I think he's matched one of our defenders from the last time he got promoted. Well, the time before we got promoted, Josh Holfield in the season when we went back up under Nigel Atkins. No defender has scored more goals than him. And I think he'd go on and beat that record because he's so good at set play. He's almost James Ward-Prowse-ish at set play. Ollie spoke about the egos at the dressing room. I think Adam Armstrong, Ryan Fraser, they moved on. Gavin Bazunu moved on. And there was a talk about a clique within the dressing room. I think that's had a big say in the upturn. That going with the fullbacks made a really, really big difference. I quite like the look of Cole Larin, the striker we brought in.
He's a big lad, isn't he? He looks dangerous.
Big lad.
In the air.
Yeah, clumsy, got a bit about him and ruffles up defenders. The thing I like about him is he can get us up the field a bit more. And that's a big, big thing for us is being able to sort of get our two wingers up the field a bit and sort of really hurting the opposition. Tom Fellows, we haven't seen the best of yet. He's been really poor in recent weeks. He's actually not in the side. He's dropped out the side, and I think he will come back in for the FA Cup game at the weekend. But the fixtures are huge when you look at the run before the international break, and I think that will determine whether we're really seriously in the mix. We cannot afford to falter anywhere now because we've played catch-up for so long. We've played catch-up for a terrible start and a pretty poor Christmas where we dropped stupid points. Oxford, Norwich, there's some Millwall, a late defeat there. We helped kickstart their run with that late winner we gifted them at the Den. And I look at our fixtures now and I just think we got to go for it because you've got West Brom is the next league fixture week on Wednesday, followed by Coventry away, both away games, Coventry away on the Saturday, lunchtime kickoff. We've then got 2 big games at home. And I worry more actually about the 2 home games. Norwich City at home, Oxford at home. At home, we get pegged in a little bit and you end up side sitting in with low blocks like Charlton did a week ago. Frustrated the hell out of us. We couldn't break them down. So that would be my biggest fear in the run-in is those home games. I actually fancy us to go to West Brom and get a result. I fancy us to go to Coventry and get a result. I really do. Because I think on our day we'll beat anybody. I just worry a little bit about our home games.
Interesting. Yeah, I think I probably would apply the more, I think Coventry away is going to be tough. I saw them on Saturday. I think they look like a very dangerous team at the moment, whereas I think Oxford at home, they're battling certainly, but I think that you've probably got the quality to defeat those sides. But do you see, from what you've seen under Tonda, he obviously came in as the number one. He's been there for about 4 months now, 3 or 4 months, I think. Do you see something that you can build forward with under him, whether or not you win promotion this season?
Yeah, I do. I think he's young. He's made mistakes, and he will do because he's learning on the spot. Like he's galvanised the squad because it wasn't great when he came in. He could, if he'd had January when he come in, it would have been so much easier that he could fish out some of the players they needed to move on. It was very, very well known down here that there was egos that need to be rid of in that dressing room. I think the team spirit seems a lot better now. He seems to plan with detail and seems to really have the players on board. Whether in the big moments he have enough to get the games over the line, and that would be my biggest question: is when it gets tight against, say, a Coventry and it's 1-1 with 15 to go, 20 to go, has he got that tactical nous to get the big games over the line when it counts the most? And that's where I think like the best managers in the league will succeed. I think we'll be really close to the playoffs. I hope by the time we go down to Wrexham at Easter, we're like right on their tails, or we're right neck and neck, because Easter Monday could be an absolute cracker in the Championship down at the racecourse. And we've got Ipswich on Easter Friday as well. So Ipswich, then Wrexham. I think by the end of Easter, we'll know if Southampton are going to be a serious contender for it. But I do fear we've probably left it a little bit late.
Well, Welsh Techie, I'd love to throw that over to you. How are you feeling about that game quite a while ago, I suppose, but away even on Easter Monday? Are you feeling sort of a bit apprehensive? Are you looking over your shoulder at Southampton and the form that they're in, or are you pretty confident in the way that Wrexham are playing?
We're looking over our shoulder at everybody with apprehension, to be brutally honest with you. I mean, most Wrexham fans have got a nosebleed with that high, and it's a lot of fans. Obviously, we're the new boys. We were introduced to the Championship this year by going to Southampton, and like a new puppy, we ran around, peed in the corner, chewed the furniture, and then Southampton sent their big guns on at the end and took us out. But I mean, fantastic experience for us. And then obviously since then we've slowly built, because obviously we've spent a lot of money just playing catch up, trying to rebuild the squad in the summer. A bit more addition in January. Not everything that Wrexham fans would have wanted, to be honest with you, but we're kind of bolstering that. But we look at everybody. We look back at everybody, all the way down. Talking earlier about Sheffield United. We don't count Sheffield United out at all. Anybody down to that level. We even look at Swansea. Yeah. Obviously, there's a lot of needle between us and Swansea anyway, being the two Welsh clubs in this division. But we're even looking back at them and saying, they're a threat. So for us, everybody is a threat. With regards to that game on Easter Monday, we have been actually quite used to key games on Easter Mondays over the last few seasons. There've been some very, very big games, including the Notts County game, the famous Notts County game that everybody talks about. That was an Easter game. That's what it was.
Save your penalty, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So we're used to kind of that kind of thing where, because we've got West Brom away on the Good Friday, and then obviously we host Southampton on the Monday. And I think you're absolutely right. I think if we get to that point where, and I have to be honest, I would imagine, I think by then, Southampton will be above us. And I think it will be the other way around. I think we will be chasing. But I prefer that. I prefer to be the chaser rather than the catcher rather than the I don't know, the prey. I don't know what the word is.
Rather than the hunted.
Yeah, there we go. That's the word. Yeah, I'd rather be that, because it takes the pressure off us. And although we've done exceptionally well this season, far above what any Wrexham fans have been expected, and to be fair, far above what a lot of everybody else in the football world has expected. We're kind of we're here to play football. We're here to compete. We're not going to roll over. We will fight to the end. And whether that results in us getting into the playoffs, or whether that results in us at the end maybe falling off, so be it. But I mean, for me personally, the highest we've ever been in our 162-year history is 14th in the Championship. That was back in 1977-78. We've never, ever been higher than that. So if we can get higher than 14th for me, then I'm happy. I am massively happy, and I will take whatever it is, and we'll move on to next year. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great game because Southampton, again, it's a massive surprise for me because I tipped them to be top 2 before the season started because I just thought they had the resources. I thought they had the fan base. I thought they were that club, one of the established clubs who definitely can compete in the Premier League. So to see kind of the start that they've had, I was quite shocked. But then for me, I was expecting, Leicester to do really, really well. I was expecting Ipswich to absolutely boss the league. To see Coventry and Middlesbrough there is as much a shock for me as it seems to be a shock for seasoned veterans like yourself. Sure. So I think it's going to be. I think the Easter Monday is going to be a great game because the racecourse, although it's small and it only has 3 sides for the minute, it's a cracking atmosphere when we've got 2 sets of fans who really want to get behind the game because that away area, it's such an old ground. I mean, that stand is 1975. It was built. It's a proper old style football ground. There's no luxuries at all. And if you are coming down, Martin, make sure you understand that. Don't expect the red carpet or anything. It's it needs a lick of paint, I have to be honest. But it's proper, compact, noisy. You're right. Fans are right next to each other. So it's a great atmosphere and a brilliant, brilliant game for an Easter Monday.
Absolutely. Martin, we will come back to your points on Wrexham, but I just wanted to ask you, Martin, before you head off, because I know you got something at 6. Do you think Southampton will make the playoffs?
Oh, I'll tell you what, we've made it exciting for ourselves because you would have said at Christmas it would have been it could be a long end to the season, but we're in the mix. With the money we've spent, we should be, really, let's be quite honest, we should be a playoff side. Whether we do it, I think it'd be really, really touch and go. A lot of the ex-pros down here, Joe Tesson being one of those, he works on local radio. He's been saying it for weeks. He doesn't think the Saints have got a good enough squad for it, which I disagree with. I totally disagree. But he continually says he thinks we've maybe just we're playing catch up. So we've always got to win that extra game. We always got to find those extra 2 wins. And that's probably my biggest fear. It does put a bit of pressure on. And I look at the fixtures sort of on this run to Easter now being really, really big. It's just, I'm really torn. I can't call it either way. I think we'll probably end up in the nearly men if I'm going my gut instinct.
Well, that's what we're here for. Brilliant. Thank you for your insights.
You're welcome.
It looks like it's going to be touch and go. Martin, thanks so much for joining us and keep up the great work on the channel.
Thanks, Martin.
Thank you, Jay.
So
Thank you.
We'll come back to you on Welsh Tech, Welsh Techie, because I want to ask you about how the fan base feel, because does it feel slightly is surreal, the feeling that, or have they just kind of do you just get used to it and do you just this is our reality now? So
no, we'll never ever get used to it. It's like you waking up from a dream, or you think you're still in the dream. Basically, Wrexham fans are in a massive cake shop, and there's so many beautiful, tasty cakes. They don't know which one to have. Do we want to stay in the league? Yes, we do. Do we want to get playoffs? Oh, yeah, that'll be nice. Automatic promotion? That'd be lovely. Premiership? Oh, and there is a percentage. And as I said to you before we started recording, me personally, I don't want to go into the Premiership. I've seen what happens to clubs like Wolves, Burnley, Leeds, yo-yoing all over the place. Who wants to go into a league where basically you get pasted every single week, and if you get a draw, you celebrate like you've won the FA Cup? Who wants that? You at least want to compete. And my fear is that at the moment and it doesn't matter, I understand what other fans say with regards to, Wrexham, we've got tons of money. Oh, tons of money, oil money, whatever it is. The amount of money we would need to be just managing to stay in the Premiership would be astronomical, because we don't have, never mind the money, we don't have the facilities behind it. We don't have a full training ground. We hire the Football Association of Wales's training ground. So we don't have that. We don't have a full gym. We've got a kind of a part of a stand that's the gym. We don't have four sides. So our capacity would be smaller than Luton Town's until we get the Cop built.
Yeah.
Never mind all the press and the hospitality and everything else. We don't have what a Premier club needs. Everything that goes around that. Never mind the money and all the other things. So we're not ready. We have been incredibly fortunate and incredibly skillful with, fighting results, doing what needs to be done. Last year in League One, it was a marry of the two things where we were just about doing enough. Lots of 1-0 wins, squeaking 1-0 wins, and League One being particularly poor. A lot of the big clubs that you would expect, like, Huddersfield and Bolton and those, just misfiring. And it kind of moved everything out the way, and we just kind of levered our way in there to manage to get in. I mean, now we're here, we want to stay, absolutely, and we're going to compete. We're going to kick that ball until we can't kick a ball anymore. But the Premier League, it's too fast for me.
I think the prize is celebrating promotion to the Premier League. The prize isn't the Premier League itself.
Absolutely. Every time I talk to, because obviously when I go away, I like to talk to opposition fans. Every time I talk to an Ipswich fan, right? I've got mates who are Wolves fans. I've got mates that are Leeds fans. They all say the same things, the same sentence. The journey is much better than the destination.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't want that. I think without a doubt, and the National League for me, from where we came from, is one of the hardest leagues because you have so few chances to get out, and everybody is climbing over each other to try and get to that promised land of the EFL. Because in the National League, there's no money, there's very, very little press coverage until we came along with Rob and Ryan and basically shone a massive spotlight on it. There's none of that, and you've got one automatic place, and then you've got playoffs. So it's so difficult to get out of. But the Championship is the best league in the world. For me, it's better than the Premier. I don't watch the Premiership. I don't watch the Premiership, I'm afraid. It's not a type of football I enjoy. I don't enjoy. For me, it's too clinical. It's too corporate. There's no passion in it. When I watch a game like Millwall versus QPR, you can see in every kick the passion's in there. And
I think football's become too corporate in lots of ways. I think people in football take themselves, certainly at higher levels, way too seriously now. And it definitely makes me feel quite disillusioned from the top level of the game. It's part of the reason why I enjoy covering the EFL a lot more.
Yeah, I think, from our perspective, I've seen my team in the Premier League. I've felt exactly the pain that you're talking about, Welsh Checky, because very much, obviously, in those seasons, what I would say is, because there is a balance to this, to be fair to the sort of wider balance. When you're good in the Premier League, and good is relative, obviously good would be finishing 16th, finishing 17th. Good might be, we finish 9th. When you are good, it is a feeling unlike anything else. Like, I will never be able to recreate. We beat Norwich 1-0 at Bramall Lane last game before lockdown. We went 4th in the Premier League that day. I will never, at any point, ignoring, my wife's not here, it's fine, be able to recreate that feeling. When Billy Sharp headed that in, I don't think I'll ever, it was insane. I genuinely believed that we were on the journey of a lifetime. And if you are in a position where you are competitive and you believe in it, and your team is performing and playing well, it is one of the best feelings. It is what you've experienced at every level of this, then to another degree, because, you've felt it every season. And it's that again. But when you
can I just, before you move on to the second point, Ollie, can I just add to what you're saying there? Because I'm a Birmingham City fan, and I remember in the 03-04 season, first year I actually had a season ticket, and we got a lot of 1-0s early on in that season, and we were at one point we were 4th in the table, and my dad printed out a copy of the Argus with the league table of Birmingham City being 4th in the Premiership. And my dad was just absolutely glowing, like he couldn't believe it, like we're 4th in the league. And that feeling, I think, of being a good team in the Premier League, I absolutely agree with you, is just this wonderful, warm feeling. But then from what you're going to go on to say, I also,
but there is a but. And of course, I have also seen 2 of the all-time worst Premier League teams week in, week out, getting hammered. And there is nothing that will... I've never questioned whether or not I actually want to watch football more than I have during those seasons in the Premier League. I've seen my team finish, and again, it's all relative. You will not give me any sympathy for this, Welsh Decade, and you shouldn't. But I've seen my team finish 11th in League One, and that is as bad as, for us, that's as bad as I'm going to see, or that I have seen, and that hopefully I will see. And it was awful, but that didn't feel as bad as being bottom of the Premier League, just getting kicked for fun. because they are so good. The standard, you don't even envisage a point. That's the thing. You turn up to a game of football saying, I hope we don't lose by 4 today.
Yeah.
And that takes all of the fun out of it. I remember, I think it's my worst moment watching football. We were losing 5-0 at home to Aston Villa. Whipped a free, 93rd minute, whipped a free kick in, scored a header at the back post to lose 5-1. All we were going to do is lose 5-1. And we celebrated like it was the biggest thing in the world. Yeah. After a 5-minute stoppage, they disallowed that goal for VAR.
And that's the other reason. And that's the other reason why I don't want anything to do with the Premier League because of VAR. Unfortunately, it's heading our way. I mean, IFAB met this week, ironically, just down the road from me. They met this week, and they've already said more VAR. They're now going to start looking at corners. They're going to start looking at double yellow red cards. It's coming. It's coming for us. So we have to embrace it. But I don't want to. Don't get me wrong. I'd like to be in the Premiership someday. And at least try and compete. But we've seen established clubs like yourselves, like both of your teams, long established, the higher pantheon of British football, struggle massively with the huge amounts of resources that you have at your fingertips. If we went in the Premiership now, lovely though it would be, yes, the streets of Wrexham would be covered in beer and naked people, and it would be like the worst days of Sodom and Gomorrah. But when that
but what's everybody else going
to do? When that hangover hits and we start the Premier League, it would be horrendous. So I'm trying to put a little bit of caution in there. But while we're here, and so many fans, the Wrexham fans at the moment, are saying, listen, this is probably the best chance we're ever going to get. We're in 6th. We fought our way up there. We're doing okay. Yes, some of the performances have been quite poor, and we've rode our luck at times. But this is probably the best chance we're going to have, and so we should go for it. And with 11 games to go, that seems to be the general gist behind Wrexham fans at the moment. They're like, do you know what? Let's just go for it. And if we fall, we fall. What the hell? But we'll have tried, and that's the main thing.
Can I ask you about Phil Parkinson, Welsh Techie? Because there's 2 very interesting schools of thought on this. There's one school of thought that said he's won 3 promotions, and got you into the top 6 of the Championship, which I don't care what any amount of money that you're given, that is a fantastic achievement and full credit to him for that. Done an unbelievable job. But in terms of how Wrexham have played this season, you wouldn't necessarily say the football's been great. And from a selection point of view, it does still seem to be geared towards players who do lots of running and lots of bring lots of grit to the game. Sometimes Lewis O'Brien and Ollie Rathbone starting the 2-10 positions over Josh Windass and George Nathan Broadhead. And sometimes there is that sort of brawn over brain sort of preference, if that's not simplifying it too much. So where do you sort of land on Phil Parkinson? Does he have your sort of keys to the city and club legend and all the rest of it, or do you?
I don't think any Wrexham. You will never find a Wrexham fan who will criticise Phil Parkinson in the long term. Yes, there are some aspects of his game which some Wrexham fans are not happy with. Has a tendency to bring in substitutions really, really late, and sometimes it's not the substitutions that you would expect. He can be very defensive at times, where you feel like you really want, when you're on top of a team and you really feel you should put the boot to the throat and absolutely put them to bed. He has a tendency to drop back and try and protect the lead, and that frustrates fans. But you won't find a Wrexham fan who doesn't think that Parky, the sun shines out of Parky's behind, because, as you rightly said, and we've all seen it right across British football, you can have all the money in the world, and we've seen so many clubs. You look at, when we were in the National League, we played Oldham. Oldham were original members of the Premier League. That's what happens if you have your money and you don't spend it wisely, and you don't build a strong house on strong foundations. That's where you'll end up, because the football, as we know, changes dramatically. Just look at Luton Town. They've gone like a firework, up, bang, and down they come. Sure. We don't want to be that club. Lots of fans, you won't find a fan who will criticise Parky, because, and the thing is, it is a constant debate we have, because we do feel that a lot of fans outside of Wrexham don't give Phil Parkinson the credit that we feel he deserves.
Sure, yeah.
Because they basically say, well, if you got 30 million quid, of course you're gonna win everything.
No, I don't see it like that. I'm actually quite I have some understanding of the contextual challenges that Wrexham have faced, because although they have spent a lot of money in the Championship this season, you're also building a team from scratch, because the club has had to elevate the squad. Because they've not signed young players in the lower leagues, they've signed good players for the level that they're at, but they had to be peak-aged and experienced players. When they get up to the Championship, they've almost needed half the squad to sort of be upgraded, and that's brought new challenges in terms of building partnerships and dynamics and a synergy between the group. So yeah, I would definitely credit Phil Parkinson for that. I just don't know with some of the players whether they necessarily, maybe some of those more attacking players, whether they would necessarily feel like, yeah, I love playing in this system. I'm not 100% on that.
I think you're probably right. I think you're probably right, to be honest. I mean, there was a quite a feeling just before Christmas where you would watch players like Windass, like Nathan Broadhead, and they just looked unhappy, because particularly with Broady, you feel that he's not quite sure where he feels like he's supposed to be playing. We know where we've seen him play when he was at Ipswich. He was that front three, left-hand side, coming inside. That's where, you expect him as part of a front three. Parky doesn't play that. Parky's never changed his format. He's never changed his layout since he first started in the National League. He's always played with the back three. He's always played with wing forwards, wing backs, whatever you want to call them, traveling wingers, and he's always played with a straight up big person at the front who basically can trap the ball, hold it, and then chuck it off to somebody like we had Paul Mullin at the time, or we had so Ollie Palmer was the big guy, Mullin was the little guy. That's how it was. When that came around last year, Elliot Lee then stepped in a bit into the Mullin role, because of the fact is that Mullin obviously had his injuries. That when Kiefer Moore came on, it's almost like he basically gone to a catalogue and went, right, look, where's a Phil Parkinson player? Oh, Kiefer Moore, perfect. It's like he's basically
he's perfect for
printed.
that kind of
He's been 3D printed with a Parky mindset. He's the perfect player, and he plays Parky's game. The problem with Broady is that that's not a game that Broady plays. That's not where you see the best in Broady. Because he is used to having a front three where he can nip in and out, nip in inside. So I think he's struggled. I know Windass has got quite upset at times. When we played Swansea away, when he was substituted, you could see he was not happy bunny at all. He was, because basically he was kind of, he's not a defensive player. I mean, you obviously, Ollie, you are more aware of Windass than we were at the time because of his contact with Sheffield Wednesday. But he's an attacking player. He's not a defensive player. He doesn't like it when we sit back on leads and stuff. You can see the frustration. He's screaming at his players, push, go forward, go up, and that doesn't seem to happen. So it's a difficult one, but at the end of the day, you can't deny what's on black and white. And right now on black and white, we're 6th in the Championship in our first season. Of the 3 promoted clubs, no offence, Gab, Birmingham and Charlton, we're the highest. Of all the Welsh clubs, we're the best team in Wales, better than Swansea, who have been in this league for a long, long time and been in the Premier League. We're higher than them. So,
I'm actually a bit surprised, because I expected us to be maybe do what you're doing in terms of, I felt like we had we were likely to have a bit more continuity, whereas you were more in rebuild. So that's actually a credit to Phil Parkinson and the team.
But you put the work in last season. You did last season what we were trying to do this season. You thought, right, do you know what? We've had a terrible season in the Championship. We're now down in League One. Let's wipe the board clean. Let's bring in a load of talent that we can get some experience in and lock together. So because we're gonna win this league, that's fine, and then we'll know then we've got a really, really good base to go into the Championship with. That's exactly what you did. Well, unfortunately, with the Championship, because it's so unpredictable, nobody is going to walk this league. As we see, not even Coventry were 10 points ahead. Yes, they've managed to pick up the baton a bit now, but at one point they absolutely fell apart. So that's just how crazy the Championship is.
Absolutely. Do you think Wrexham finished in the top 6, Welsh Techie?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me that. Do I think Wrexham are going to finish in the top 6? No.
Okay.
No, I don't. No, I don't. We've got a midfield crisis at the moment because Ben Sheaf is out, and he's out for the season. because it looks like he's done his calf. And Matty James, he's got a broken big toe. He's been out now 2 weeks. I think he's going to be out another 3. That means our 2 main holding midfielders are out. And we don't have any more holding midfielders. We're trying to patch it up by putting Lewis O'Brien in, by putting George Dobson in. They're not defensive midfielders.
Oh, Dobson's a holding midfielder, I would say.
I wouldn't say he's a defensive midfielder. Let me put it that way. He's not as defensive. He doesn't have that kind of, can gather in the centre and then push the ball out to areas. He's a bit more
technically. He's definitely limited technically. I do think he can do the destructive work very well. But I know what you're saying in terms of that.
It's a bit of a patch at the moment. The same as we kind of banked on Libby Kikache from getting from Syria B, what he was then. We were kind of banking on him being our left winger. He's been injured most of the season. Every time we get him back, he goes down with another injury. So we've got Thomason, who is not,
when you signed
not
him, you should have asked, what's the Kikache?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. Made of crisps, I think, is the catch. To be brutally honest with you, and I haven't. By the way, Ollie, I've not let that joke go. I've monitored.
No. You guys keep going with it. I'm just going to sit and shake my head for a couple of minutes. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
But we've got Thomason. He's not a winger.
Oh,
he's a midfielder.
I thought he looked very good though in one of your recent home wins.
Again, we've been lucky. We've been lucky because he's fitted in there, and actually, he's done really, really well.
He's found
his groove. He's absolutely he's a midfielder. And probably if he wasn't on the wing, he would have been brought into the centre to replace Sheaf and James to try and because that's more his bag. But we need him on the wings because obviously we let James McLean go, and I think the whole of the division and the whole of the EFL probably breathed a sigh of relief at that point because of the controversy.
I don't mind James McLean, to be fair.
He's one of these. We say it on our pod a lot of the time. If he's playing for you, you love him. If you're playing against him, you hate him. He's an absolute Marmite player. He's a total Marmite player. But he's a lovely guy. I met him a number of times, had a conversation with him. He's a lovely, lovely guy. He wouldn't hurt a fly, wouldn't say boo to a goose. But he's one of those players, isn't he? He's
that white line, got a bit of an edge. I've got no problem with that at all.
Ironically, Ollie, for me, he's a Billy Sharp because Billy Sharp we hated when he played for you. We couldn't stand the guy, could not stand him, total knob. But you loved him because he played for the badge and played for you. And every club obviously seems to have one at some point. But
you're not doing your job properly if you don't sign a player that's hated by opposition.
You've got to have one. If you don't have one, then you're really letting your own fans down. That's the problem.
I mean, the good thing is because Kiefer Moore has played for pretty much every club in the Championship, every club hates him when they've come visiting. So apart from probably, well, Sheffield United definitely hate him after what he did at the end of the last season, giving that ball away. And I was horrified. I have to say, Ollie, I was horrified when I watched that for you. I was like, oh no. And I don't want that. I don't want that. But so to answer your question, no, I don't think so, because we're going to run out of steam because even though we've spent £30 million, even though he has he's brought 13 players in and then another 3 in January. The 3 brought in Davis Keeler-Dunn, obviously from Barnsley. Great goal scorer, but he's League One. Is he going to get many minutes? Probably not. Unless we're going to play a team that maybe we think we can relax a little bit, like maybe an Oxford or a West Brom, where we think, well, can we relax a little bit? But at some point,
but I also feel, West Techie, that if Josh Windass isn't starting regularly, he's definitely starting, 1 in 2 games or 2 in 3, but he's not like a. I think for somebody like Davis Keeler-Dunn, who's maybe a different profile, I'm not sure whether he's necessarily going to start. Get much game time.
And obviously, we signed Kadamatri from Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, he's not going to get any time because you're not going to put him on, even though he's been playing for Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, that's basically like playing for a training team, isn't it? So you're not going to give him with all the best will in the world, Ollie. That's what it was. That's
agreed.
What it was.
I'm just glad you said it.
I know. I'm not going to let you get the dog poo in a box. It's all right. Don't worry. Don't get me wrong. When he played against us, he nearly scored. He's a good player, but he's one maybe for the future. Who knows? But he's not for now. And the thing is, a lot of Wrexham fans feel we didn't quite get the players we really needed if we were truly going to get that push to get into the playoffs and solidify it. So we're kind of, there's a lot of band-aids and a lot of sticking plaster on the team at the moment, but doesn't mean we're not going to die trying, because absolutely we will. You saw on Saturday against Charlton threw the kitchen sink at us on Saturday. And if it wasn't for Okonkwo's incredible save right at the death, it would have been a draw. It's only the fact that Charlton basically couldn't hit a cow's arse with a banjo. Pretty much, and they couldn't. Nathan Jones afterwards, who's not well liked in Wrexham, as you know. He was basically saying, we had all the chances, and I don't understand what more we could have done. Well, put the ball in the net probably would have been the answer to that one. To be brutally honest, if you put the ball in the net, then you would have had a better result. But we will fight tooth and nail. But do I expect us? No, I think we'll come close. I think we'll come close. We'll run. I mean, you just look at the moment of Southampton. Southampton are flying up on the rails, absolutely flying up on the rails. You can't count out Derby County. You can't count out Watford. We got that disappointing draw at Bristol City where we should have beat them, because they were awful in the first half. They were terrible. It's just basically for a worldie right at the very, very end that they got the draw. Obviously, we've got you guys at Birmingham. That's always great for a laugh, because all the press and everything will jump on that, and all the American Hollywood nonsense that goes.
I know, it's such a fake, right? Like, it's not even from our point of view. It's like nothing in it. But it's clickbait. If there's one thing Wrexham fans are so used to at the moment, is clickbait. Because literally all they want to do is put the word Wrexham in anything at the moment, because they know it's going to get loads of people. And some of the ludicrous stuff that comes out, I'm particularly around transfer time. It's hilarious. All these players that we're linked with, apparently, and you kind of go in, what really? No, that's never ever going to happen. And even if it did, we wouldn't want it anyway, because it would be a waste of time and money. And as I say, you can't count out for me Preston or Sheffield United. I think Stoke are too far away, and also I think Stoke are a little bit flaky, to be honest with you. Because they're kind of hit and miss, and then after that, I think you're right. There's too much traffic then to try and get through. You'd have to go on such a run in 11 games. You literally have to, like you said earlier, you'd have to win 9 or 10 of them. And I don't think teams that low down are going to get that opportunity to win that many. So we'll fight. We'll definitely fight, but I think we'll just fall short. If I predicted now, I'd probably say 8th. Okay, interesting. Well, thanks very much, Welsh Techie, and look for all the best for the rest of the season.
Thank you, and you.
Cheers.
So, man.
Ollie, I'm just wondering from a Sheffield United perspective whether Welsh Techie's caution, I suppose, that he's urging when it comes to Wrexham, has that given you a little bit more encouragement that maybe the players can...
Honestly, Gab, I hate it, because hearing Simon and Welsh Techie talk, I'm now sat here and I'm like, I think we can do this. I think we're going to do it, because obviously Simon said, I don't think we're going to make it. We'll just miss out. Welsh Techie said, I don't think we're going to make it. We'll just miss out. I'm looking.
We don't think Hull are going to make it.
I'm going to say, I'm looking at the fixture list, and suddenly I'm thinking Hull might not make it. And there's a spot there to be had, Gab. I'm telling you, it's there on the stocks. But in more serious points, I think the big thing for me is, where do you draw the line? What is the points total? What's the points tally that we're working towards? For United, I can draw a line which would see us get at the absolute maximum. I can draw a line to 72 points. I don't think there's any world we get more than that. I think the most realistic is that we get a bit less than that and we finish somewhere around 69, 70. I don't think that's enough. If that is enough, it would take a real disaster from some of the teams above us if they don't manage to get to that tally. So I think we will just miss out. I think we'll get close.
Can I just put something? I know what you mean, Ollie, but if I were just looking at the home games, you've got West Brom, Wrexham, Swansea, Hull, Blackburn, and Preston. I think that's 6 home games, and I think on balance those are pretty favourable fixtures.
So this is the big thing, is that when you look at the remaining fixtures, I look at Hull and I see that they've got a horrible run to the end of the season. We drew this line the other day where we said Hull probably need to have 5 good games. Well, actually, when you look at their margin for error, they've probably only got 5 games where you go, yep, that's a guaranteed sort of points, because you're looking at Ipswich away, Wrexham away, Millwall, Coventry, United away. They look to have a really difficult fixture list. We've then just been talking to Simon we've just been talking to Simon about Southampton and sort of what Martin. I knew I'd get his name. I just couldn't remember what it were. Just been talking to Martin about Southampton. And as you look at that, you then look at their fixtures. And I think, well, actually, they've got some stinkers. They've got to go away to Coventry, Norwich at home, Ipswich away to Wrexham. Like, these are teams who've got really difficult fixture lists. Wrexham, their last 2 games of the season are Coventry away, Middlesbrough at home. If they still need results to get over the line, there's an opportunity there. So certainly, I came into this video saying there's no way for us to get there. I can now see a path. I'm not saying it's a positive path. I'm not saying it's likely. I still think it's a very unlikely outcome. But I can see more of a path now than I could an hour ago for how United could finish 6th. I don't think we will. Yeah. But I can now see how we could. And that's given me a bit of excitement for my early March.
Brilliant stuff. And again, you've still got Wrexham to play as well, which is a big thing. I mean, let's say hypothetically you beat Wrexham, that would that in this sort of scenario would put you on 51, 6 points off. So I mean, again, I think that's
it's all about, to be honest, Gab, it's all about what happens in the next month, because there's 2 big things that happened. Michael Cooper apparently has got a season-ending injury. That very much reduces some of the margin for error. I like Adam Davis. I know that he's got it in him to be a good championship keeper, but we've probably not seen it now for 6 years since he was last good at this level. Maybe even longer. It might be 7 years since he was at Barnsley. So
I really liked him in his Barnsley days.
It was fantastic. But, you know, that's not the goalkeeper we've got in 2026. So there's a question mark around that. There's then the fact that in our next 3, we play Birmingham away, Norwich away, back to back. If we lose both of those games, we could very easily be 15 behind Wrexham rather than
4 points off those 2, don't you, really?
Which is a massive ask. So, let's not close the door, but let's just say it's unlikely for us. However, and you always manage to avoid doing this, but I'm not letting you today. There is a team much more likely, I think, to be the disruptor. If Martin's right and Southampton just miss out, and Welsh Tech is right and Birmingham and Wrexham just miss out, how are you feeling about Birmingham's chances for this one, Gab? Because obviously it's been an unbelievably good run of form. I know it's a really bad result, obviously, last week against Millwall. Obviously, it's a huge game tonight. But this run of form you're on is pretty impressive. Are you going to be the disruptors that get that last spot?
Well, you know how I always avoid answering the question. What I'm going to say is we kick off in a couple of hours. Ask
you after.
Ask me after tonight. Conveniently after the podcast finishes recording.
What it is, though, you know, we talk a lot about fixtures, and we've gone through them and we've said Southampton's fixtures are really nasty. Wrexham's are really nasty. Hull's are really nasty. Well, Birmingham, after tonight, have a very, very favourable run. Do you play anybody in the top half? I think you've got Ipswich away, and that's about it. Like, it's a really friendly run of games. I think you've got Hull as well at some point around Easter, but I don't think it's a bad run for Birmingham. They've got nice fixtures. The majority of them at home, playing against teams, generally speaking, in the bottom half. I think Birmingham probably, after the conversations we've had today, are my pick. I think if I was betting on it right now, I will do the absolutely hilarious thing of saying it will be Birmingham and Wrexham.
Interesting. I think we can do 2 points a game between now and the end of the season, because we are very ruthless at home, and we've definitely improved enough away. I know we had a bit of a no-show at Millwall, but we've won 3 away games in 2026, which had been our Achilles heel in the first half of the season. I think we can do 2 points a game, which would put us on 73 points. No, is that right? Yes, it is. 73 points. Excuse me. So it depends, I think, what the bar is and the accumulation that Hull and Wrexham.
Yeah, I think the bar's 73. As we've gone through the fixtures, I've been totting it up and I've been having a look at the other teams. I think Wrexham and Southampton both finish are either 73 or 72. I think they both get to that line. So I think if you think Birmingham can get 73, then it'll be goal difference that's the difference, because that's where I think all three teams will finish. Now, that's an exciting final day.
Oh, yeah, that's fascinating. Well, because the other thing is, I think Hull are going to be sucked into it. I've got a bit more confidence in Millwall that they're going to sew up a top 6 berth.
Millwall are going up automatics, Gab. What are you talking about?
But I think Hull are definitely ones that can come in, could be sucked into this equation. I think, so I think Hull, Wrexham, Southampton, and Birmingham, I think, are the ones, but I'm still looking at Sheffield United, and I still think that you can maybe that late runner if you put together. I think you're capable of going on a long winning run. If I look at teams outside the players right now that are capable of a long winning run, I would say Southampton, and I would say Birmingham, and I would say Sheffield United. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think of the teams not currently in the playoffs, they're the three I think are the most likely disruptors.
Yeah, I suppose I think we should probably touch on Derby and Watford, because I think Watford definitely look good under Edward still so far. I think they've got lots of really nice individual talents. And I also quite like Edo Kiembe in that second striker role, because I think he's quite a good facilitator in terms of creating space for other players. Shakford Hadze's at his best. We saw what he can do last season. He's had a bit more of a stop-start campaign this year, but I think he can come into it. Imran Louisa, I think, is a fantastic footballer. And then you've got Derby, who've got this incredible threat going forward, and have got one of the best midfielders in the league in Bobby Clark. So, I don't think we should write those two out either.
No, I absolutely, they are where they are, fully deserving. On merit, they deserve to be a top 6 contender. They've had an unbelievably good season. I think Derby's fixtures probably put them on the wrong side. They've got to go away to Coventry, away to Millwall, away to Southampton. They've away to Norwich even. They've got some really tricky games coming. I know they've got a fantastic away record, but I think it's asking a lot for them to be able to chart a course to 73. I think they, again, will probably be top 60s, which, let's just put in context. For Derby, how much of an improvement is that? How impressive a season will that be? And I think it's easy to get caught up in disappointment of, they're going to finish 9th. 9th would be an unbelievably good season for Derby. Go back to pre-season expectations. Look at what they've been able to put together. It's a team that's on the up, that seem to be really building towards. And it's a club that I think long-term have a really nice future. I think personally they'll just miss out. I think they deserve to be in the conversation. I think they'll have a big part to say. For example, we've talked about United. We go away to Derby last game of the season. It will be poetic when the reason we don't make it is that they batter us. I can see that coming straight away. And Watford, I just don't know if I trust them. That's the thing with Watford.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
On their day, they can absolutely be one of the best 6 teams, best 5 teams, best 4 teams in this division. Do I trust them to do it consistently enough to get themselves in the playoffs is where I don't know. If the line is where we think it is, they need to go at 2 points a game from now till the end of the season. And I don't know if they've got that consistency in them. I think they've got the top level to be one of the best teams in the division, but I don't know if they can sustain it for 11 games.
Yeah, I feel a bit like that about Bristol City. I think that they're a very good pressing side. Probably, I think, actually, I think with Bristol City, they've got a similar inconsistency to Watford, but I think Bristol City are a bit more high floor, low ceiling, where they're pretty reliable in terms of that pressing game and that energy against the ball. But maybe in terms of quality, they're maybe a bit short of.
Do you want to know a really fun stat? Bristol City haven't had the same result in 2 consecutive games since Boxing Day.
Why?
They've not put together a run of 2 consecutive results since Boxing Day. That's not 2 defeats in a row, not 2 wins in a row, not 2 draws in a row. Every game is a different result to the one before. And that's what's going to cost them. It's the inconsistency of good one week, bad the next. Their run is just lose, win, draw, lose, win, draw, lose, win, lose. That's the kind of thing that they do. And they need to find some consistency if they're going to be a team who take advantage. I think, some people might say this is a regression from last season. They finished 6th last year. They were in the playoffs. It was an unbelievably low bar in a very difficult championship.
I actually think Bristol City are a bit better. They're certainly as good as the team they had last year.
It's not better, like you say. And so this isn't a step backwards. This isn't a team getting worse. This is the quality of the league developing around you. But that shouldn't take anything away from Bristol City of having 2 consecutive years of being able to put this run together.
Yeah, absolutely. Big fan of Tommy Orv at Bristol City. I think he looks like a good signing. I think it was tough to replace Anis Mehmeti, but I think they seem to have done that. So, yeah, I think Bristol City could get top 10. Right then, should we do predictions? I think I've talked myself into Hull dropping out of the top 6.
Yeah, me and all. And they hate, honestly, they will hate me. And if I was them, I would. I have been on this, like a dog with a bone, I've been on this.
I'd be throwing darts at Ollie and Gab on my wall.
They should be. Honestly, they should clip us and just put it on in the dressing room all the time. Just like, this lad slagged you off every week for 35 games.
Ollie, they won 1-0 at Portsmouth with 25 shots against them, and Ivor Panda making 7 shames, and they had 1 shot or 2 shots all game, and it came through an opposition mistake.
It makes no sense. I don't understand it. I don't understand how they keep winning. I don't understand the consistency of results. I don't think they're with all due respect, I just don't think they're a top 6 team. I've talked about other teams in this chat and I've gone, top level, they're one of the best teams in this league. I fundamentally do not believe that about Hull, and I will die on the hill, and I may well have to die on this hill because they might just go and get promoted. And if they do,
you're dying on the Hull.
Congratulations, but I'm dying on the Hull. And this next 3 games I think will be really telling. If they get out of Ipswich away, Millwall at home, Wrexham away, and they're still in the top 6 and are still with a bit of a gap, then they're all but there. But I don't think they will. I predict 3 defeats in a row coming. They'll be on the outside looking in, and then it becomes a scrap to the end of the season. And like I say, I just don't think they're quite good enough to get
by
there.
that point, you've got Southampton and Birmingham coming, and then maybe one other that I think makes it a lot more.
It's huge to ask. Again, though, what we should say, Hull have been in the top 5 all season. Like, whether I agree with the performance level, whether I think they've been brilliant, whether I think they're having an amazing season as a top team, doesn't matter. I predicted them to finish bottom of the championship. I thought they were going down. Everybody who I spoke to said, Hull will get relegated. You cannot put into words how impressive the job that's been done is, because even if I don't think they're a promotion contender, I don't think they're one of the worst teams in the league. I think they're a very good team. I think on their day, particularly going forwards, they can be an outstanding team to watch. I think defensively, they just don't have the stability. They seem to be relying on sort of variance going their way week after week. And it happens, whether it's Pandor, maybe he is the best keeper that's ever played in the championship. Maybe they're getting a bit of luck. It doesn't matter. It's still impressive. They've still been fantastic. And it shouldn't ever be seen as a disappointing season or a criticism that we think they might finish 7th or 8th. That is so much better than we thought they'd be at the start. It's a brilliant season. I just have so many question marks about how they've maintained it. And so it's not disrespect why I don't think they'll make it. It's looking at their past performance, trying to predict it forwards, and seeing a pattern that eventually they will come up against teams who will finish their chances. They can't give up as many shots, as many chances as they do, and it be sustainable. And so that's why I think they'll drop away. It's not to do with the club, who are doing fantastic things at the minute, but not that that'll matter. I'll get slagged anyway. I should have just gone a hate Hull.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you doing some diplomacy on our behalf there, Ollie. Because I understand why it comes across as a bit disrespectful. But I sometimes just find them a really difficult team to work out.
That's the thing. It's football, and it's all about the result. Ultimately, all that matters is that you win 1-0. But if you take 5 minutes to look at it, it blows your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, give me 2 names finishing top 6, Ollie.
Hilariously, I've even changed my mind from 15 minutes ago. Southampton, Birmingham. That's where I'm stopping. The music stops. Southampton 5th, Birmingham 6th.
I am going to go with Birmingham, Sheffield United. I'm going to go with it. I think Sheffield United can put a run together. I really do. I think you're capable of going on a mad winning run.
Speaking of people being naked in the town centre and beer thrown everywhere, that'll be me if we come sixth, I tell you.
Oh, God. Oh, not again, Ollie.
Yeah, they told me off last time. I don't know how I got through it.
Oh, God. I've got to stop doing that on a Tuesday afternoon in February.
It was so cold.
Oh, goodness. Right, probably about time to
We've
stop
spiraled.
I know, yes, absolutely. Ollie, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to all our guests. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to EFL Debate on YouTube and on Spotify, and consider becoming a member for my exclusive conversations with Simon Lillebury. And we'll see you again for another Championship podcast next week.